Arman Sarukian thinks that the UFC treats fighters from certain countries different. Yes, they have all the choice, talking about people from other countries. It's only us who don't have a choice. We do what they tell us, fighters from Russia or the CIS countries, which is the Commonwealth of Independent States, Belarus, Moldova, Azerbaijan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Armenia, and Turkmenistan. We accept all the fights. If you dare deny one fight offer, you'll be blacklisted. You'll fight in 3 to 4 years. People don't seem to have much sympathy for Arman. He didn't deny one fight offer. He pulled out of the main event title fight one day before the fight because he couldn't make weight. Arman is a spoiled rich kid that has a mentality that nothing is his fault. Calling in sick to your first main event one day out is not daring to defy one little fight request. Russian, what happened to being Armenian?
Ask Arman Tsarukyan where he's from. Ask him.
We know.
We know.
He's Armenian.
Ask him.
Mohamed Mokaev says Hunter Campbell of the UFC wished him good luck before his fight over the weekend in Brave, and he congratulated him afterwards. He's going to be going to Qatar, UFC Qatar, in 2 weeks' time, and he will talk with Dana White and the matchmakers. They might lowball the shit out of him because he was desperate to get into the UFC last year. He's saying he was willing to fight for free in the UFC.
I'll give you $30 cash per night.
Khabib Nurmagomedov has aspirations of one day building a gym in Gaza. One of my dreams in this life is for Palestinians to have their own country, build a beautiful airport, and for me to open a school there and bring some very good coaches, train them. I believe many tough athletes are going to come out of there and represent their beautiful country. 2 fighters in the UFC are of Palestinian descent, Bilal Muhammad and Kareem Al-Sawadi. Both were born in America. Bilal, Chicago, Kareem Al-Sawadi, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Bilal fighting later this month against Ian Gary at UFC Qatar. That's the co-main event. So in the span of 7 days, you got a lot of huge welterweight matchups that's going to shake up the division. Al-Sawadi was supposed to fight a couple weeks back against Mateusz Camilo, but Al-Sawadi pulled out. Didn't give a specific reason why, but he's hoping they'll all be cleared soon so he can get back to action. The 2 Major League Baseball pitchers who were charged for taking bribes to rig pitches for bettors facing 65-year prison sentence if found guilty. Given the severity of this punishment, I expect anyone involved in the UFC's recent scandals, including Minner and Bulgarian fights, to face similar consequences. UFC shouldn't bank on Cash Patel's influence to shield them from an investigation. The feds are likely to take a hard stance, treating situation as open season. Dana White wants Bulgarian to be made an example out of. As far as the UFC, some feel they should have postponed the fight because they were tipped off that there was suspicious betting. By letting the fight go ahead and calling the feds after, it looks like they knowingly risked the integrity of the fight, basically confirming they had enough doubt to involve the FBI, but not enough to act preemptively. Some feel that was bad judgment and negligence. PFL Lyon to stream in the US on the ESPN app, exclusive for fans with access to ESPN Unlimited plan. That's December 13th. Islam Makhachev has blind loyalty and allegiance to Khabib Nurmagomedov. He says if Khabib told him to stop fighting tomorrow, he'd do it.
No, Khabib is like my old brother. And these guys, if he told me, like, for example, hey, you have to stop tomorrow, no more fightings, I will listen to him, you know. He's the guy in our gym who take care of us, like, who control us, who always wish us the best, you know. He know how to do this, you know, how to make the champions, you know, and not in the gym, you know, in my life, he did everything for me.
Francis Ngannou says the biggest fight of all time would be him and Jon Jones, but that's a fight that will never happen. Francis Ngannou's expressed interest in returning to the UFC, but that bridge with Dana White has burned so badly, can never be mended. At least from the side of Dana White, I don't ever see him bringing him back into the organization. Maybe if he left and Hunter Campbell took over, they could bring him back, but that doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon.
As a fan, does Jon Jones, Alex Pereira interest you to see that fight?
Yeah, if they're fighting, I definitely gonna turn on my clock to watch that fight. But it's not like, wow, okay, this is the fight, you know.
Which is a bigger fight to make in the White House? Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira or Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou?
You know the answer. You don't need me for that. Should I answer?
But
Do you really need me to answer?
It seems like that could be a big one, though. If they're looking to put together the biggest card of all time, maybe PFL UFC could figure it out. That would be the fight to make.
If you want to say biggest of all time, you make it biggest. Biggest fight of all time can only happen with Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou. That's all what I can say about that.
And in the White House, it would definitely be the biggest.
Yeah.
This is very odd. Francis signed a deal with the PFL and got his freedom to box, made 8 figures, was the face of the company, yet barely has a thing to do with them, has fought once in the PFL, more interested in talking about fights in the UFC. Was Dana kind of right about Francis Ngannou all along? He burned his own bridge, he killed his own momentum, hype is gone, ruined his own career path trying to outsmart the machine. He's not the main character anymore. The UFC does not need Francis for anything. He needs them. Charles Jourdain again pushing for a fight with Raoni Barcelos. He says it's too cold for Raoni in Canada in the winter. They can do it in Brazil. It would be a tough fight. Barcelos is kind of like the king of the Unks right now. Impressive streak of 4 wins in a row, including beating Talbot as a massive underdog at the age of 38. He's looking great. Jourdain's also looked good since dropping down to 135. Gilly after Gilly, 2 in a row, stopping Davy Grant and then stopping Victor Henry also, who's never been stopped before. Let's go for that is a list of the 3 fighters who are undefeated on Saturday, putting their undefeated records on the line. Michael Morales, 18-0, taking on Sean Brady. Susurkayev, 10-0, taking on Eric McConaughey. Malcolm Wellmaker, 10-0, also taking on Cody Haddon. Morales, a slight underdog against Brady. Susurkayev, a huge favorite of Eric McConaughey Jr., 8-1 favorite. Wellmaker opened as a slight underdog against Haddon, but a lot of people bet on him. Now he's a slight favorite. The PFL signs Tatiana Postanikova, who's 6-0 in MMA. She likes the armbar, 2 wins by armbar in her pro career, 4 as an amateur. PFL looking for more competition for Dakota Ditchva because she's been shitting on everybody in the PFL so far and remains undefeated. Magny says it's about that time again. Fight news coming soon, so he's staying very active, as he has his whole career, which is why he's on the list for the fighters with the most fights in UFC history. He got 36, as does Charles Oliveira and RDA. Clay Guida got 37, Donald Cerrone 38, Arlovsky 42, and Jim Miller 46. Only active fighters on the UFC roster from this list are Miller, RDA, Oliveira, and Magny. Neil Magny is all over the UFC record books. He's second all-time for the most wins in UFC history with 24, tied with Charles Oliveira. Number 1 is Jim Miller in that category. Neil Magny also has the most decision wins in UFC history alongside Brad Tavares with 14. He's also spent the 5th most time in the UFC Octagon with 7 hours, 19 minutes, and 35 seconds spent in the UFC Octagon. RDA is number 1 in this category. And Neil Magny is second all-time for the most strikes landed in UFC history, 2,714, second place, but still about 1,200 away from number 1, Max Holloway. Magny and Kevin Holland were talking about fighting each other because Kevin Holland wanted to get 1 more fight in this year, get 6 fights in a calendar year, but he says that won't be happening. So Magny will probably fight somebody else. He's 2-2 in his last 4 fights, got knocked out by Morales and Prates, came back with 2 victories over Dos Santos and Matthews, was losing those fights, but turned the tide and got the stoppage. Murad Gusainov, who's a teammate of Ikram Alaskarov, improves to 10-0 after his knockout in Brave Combat Federation over the weekend.
Doesn't matter who, I'm ready. I'm smash everybody. This division.
A late addition to Saturday's card, UFC 322, is Vyacheslav Borshev versus Matush Camilo. Borshev opened as a favorite, but then a lot of people felt that was incorrect, so started betting on Matush Camilo, which caused Vyacheslav Borshev to go from the favorite to the underdog. Borshev's lost 3 of his last 4 fights, got stopped into 2 of them, including in 55 seconds in his last fight against McKinney. Matush Camilo is coming off a loss to Gabe Green. Before that, he beat Dorobshuk Nabatov, who was a sentimental favorite because he asked Dana White if he could get into the UFC at the press conference. Dana said, I'll give you a shot in the Korean Zombies promotion. If you win, you get into the UFC. He lost, but recently he picked up a win in Germany. Simple man, I hear Chael Sonnen speak and I roll my eyes. Found Dead's a mad title for 7 a.m. The UFC should do a finish bonus guarantee, but they won't.